Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have unfiltered, uncensored, uncomfortable conversation.
All right. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Let me go ahead and introduce the panel right quick. We got Maya.
Hey, y'all.
That's usually what she says. All right. And we got Chuck down there at the bottom with the sweet cardigan on.
What up?
Yeah, I told you earlier I need that. We got a few guests that's going to be joining us later on. Portia, our sister, is not here. She's enjoying homecoming festivities. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Also, Quan is going to be in here in a second. So we probably going to have a packed house today. So let's get this thing started the right way like we always do. Man, it has been an interesting weekend, I must say, as it pertains to band, music, and everything else in between. So as I typically like to do on every single show, Maya, what you see this week?
I ain't see much.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna set me up for that, man. I knew I should have started.
I was really searching for it, but I was like, let me not lie on being.
I should have started with Chuck because I know Chuck would have started it, and then by the time Chuck finished, you would have
exactly. I done did a little bit more research now.
Good Lord.
Oh wait, okay. So two things that I did see. Okay, so I think it was this past week that the Foxes wore purple, or maybe it was last week. The week before was Cotton Bowl. So no, that was Southern this week. Okay, yeah. So Shelby, I don't know if it was actually Shelby's idea or under her direction or what have you. They did a really, really cool version of doing stands. So it was kind of like, usually the captain does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then everyone follows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or a 16 count or 32 count or whatever it is, right? But they took a new kind of flair to A counts, which I thought was really, really cool. Let's see. This thing has also had a pretty cool stand routine that they did during the fifth quarter, I believe it was. Dogs, Foxes, and this thing is, I think they're actually Motion too. I think they're on my top list for this week. But then let me think about some more stuff.
So I'm gonna be quite honest with you when I tell you that I have no idea what you were talking about as far as that whole stance thing. That's just not my forte.
Yes, you do. Okay, so like when I would stand up and do something first, right? And then the girls stand up behind me. That's what I'm talking about. I did it first, and
I get that part, but you were saying that she did something different because I've seen a lot of variations, and what I'm saying is, I just don't get what you mean by she did something different.
Got you.
Just look like the normal thing they do.
It's not something that I can just kind of like explain, especially if you don't know. You just have to see the video, and I'll find it and I'll send it to you on the side.
All right, that'll work. All right, Chuck. What you got, bro? And we know that'll give Maya time to do some research, so we have to visit back to her.
I saw Mickey Mouse marching with a lot of our fellow HBCU bands this weekend. I thought that was dope, a great experience, especially for students that have never had an opportunity, to go to Disney and and just kind of experience that. So I think that's a great start to something that we'll see for a long time. Disney, when they do things, they roll out the red carpet, and it looked like everybody had a really good time.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. I thought it was super dope. Somebody asked me about it. My thing was I just didn't know how were they picked, or did you like have to?
Bro, I don't know. All I know is, I was talking with some members of the staff, at A&T some weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, we're going to be in Florida for something. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I saw this, it was at Disney on the Yard. That's what they were calling it or something. And then I started seeing some of the names of the bands pop up. And I'm like, oh, man, that's cool. So hopefully it doesn't become like Honda where you're voting for bands to go. Just got to spread the wealth, And I think that exposure is key to recruitment. And I think that could help, especially some smaller schools as well.
Yeah, man,
have the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the exposure was super dope. But yeah, I kind of peeked at the little parade joint and saw some folks going through. Was able to see one of my former students marching with A&T, so I thought that
Bro, doesn't that feel good? Like, I understand A&T, but doesn't that feel good when you see your former students like in uniform?
Absolutely. And
goodness.
I've had the pleasure to do it on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm.
It does warm my heart. You know what I'm saying? It lets me know that I in some type of way I had an impact on them wanting to continue moving on and moving forward in music and band and all that kind of stuff. Even some kids that I've watched do that actually wanted to give up or quit, and they stayed with it. So yeah, it is super dope. It is super dope.
Man, I got a former student that she's with like DD4L, and I kicked her out her senior year. She missed senior night because she, violated a major band policy on a rule. And now she's like coaching like with them, and they're expanding, of course, their brand and stuff like that. And she hated me at the time, but now
she hates you.
Yeah, but no, she sent me a message like I think a month or so ago, and she's like, "Man, now I understand why you did that and why you did certain things, because now I'm teaching all these kids and just having those expectations up." So I think that's just awesome to see your kids move on and feel like you've had some type of impact.
Right, bet. All right, and then for me, I guess one of the biggest things of the night was. Well, not the night, but this weekend was the Southern Prairie View I was battle game. There we go. That's the word I was looking. I wasn't looking for battle because it wasn't a battle. But no, that was one of the biggest things for me this weekend is just watching that. Southern. I mean, there's no way, two ways around it. Southern. Prairie View. What I will say is, sometimes I think that song selection can sometimes bite them in the foot. Because I don't think that they play bad songs. I just think that they play them at the wrong times.
Who?
PV.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it was like they just sounded terrible or they did bad. I just think that when they played the certain songs that they played, they just played them at the wrong time. So other than that, no, I think that the I keep saying battle, but I think that the game and I guess the fifth went really well. And then they turned the lights out.
I did see that.
In the years that I was with PV, I never thought that would happen. And it ended up happening. And
wait, why not?
I just never thought, because for me, the way I looked at it was with the new stadium and the understanding of how the band culture was changing, they would never do something like that, right? Like it was just an understood thing. Like y'all know what the expectation is when the game is over, And then I've always felt like there was a good rapport between the AD and the band and all that kind of stuff. So I just never thought those things would happen. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not there, so I can't put my foot on why it happened or whatever. But I will say there was a level of me that was like, yo, when I first saw it and it popped up on my feed, I was like, yo, this is kind of sweet. But then there's that other part of me that was like, man, I wish I could have been there in that moment, But no, in all actuality, I thought it was good. I thought it was not the lights coming off, but the game. I thought the fifth was cool. Obviously halftime I think went well. So yeah, that was my spiel as far as the weekend. But this week, homecoming week, Norfolk State University. Definitely am excited that it's home. You say I got my Norfolk stuff on. This is my first ever Norfolk shirt that doesn't say Spartan Legion on it. I'm so happy that
you got that in the bookstore, right?
Yes, sir. Hey, that's the only place I was getting it.
Special.
Absolutely, I'm super hype about that. Man, I talked to Portia and let her know that we weren't going to be there and why. I'm super upset that I couldn't make it because I plan on wearing this shirt in Norfolk, but it just didn't happen that way, man. Yeah. So I really hate it, but hey, by Virginia's Golden Shores, there's a place that we adore. When Norfolk sun shines bright on down on our campus site, and I ain't gonna do the whole thing, but you already know what it is. Hey, and before you get into it, I'm gonna go publicly and say this, all right? Because I just saw LaMarcus just say something. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna dead it after this. Out of the many years that I have lived, there's only been one university that says the something, THEE, Jackson. I love. I always known Jackson to do that. Can we stop putting THEE in front of every single goddamn university?
I know Ohio State is used there.
The Norfolk State University. It for me, it just gets on my nerves because I just be like, yo, let's be original here. Let's come up with something different. I went to Norfolk State. I marched in the Spartan Legion, THE. I didn't march in the Spartan Legion. So I just want to put that out there. I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna leave it there. All right, but go ahead, Chuck. My bad.
No, I was gonna say that. I heard Ohio State, but I don't know how long. But I agree that I've always heard Jackson State do that. Now, when your announcer announces the Spartan Legion on the field, I feel it's a THE. Let the heavens resound. This is the way you're saying it.
No, as a former Norfolk State Spartan Legion announcer, we've never said the. It's just let the heavens resound to your magnificent sound, right. And let every musical measure be the source of auditory pleasure. Like,
that's probably one of the. I would definitely give it like top 3, announcer entrances for band. I think I put it in my top 3.
It's original. It's
very original. It's very original.
And 100%, I love Norfolk State for the originality. And honestly, that was one of the reasons why I went to Norfolk State, because it was different. It was just something that wasn't what I was used to coming from Willow Ridge, coming from seeing the SWAC all the time, seeing PV and Southern and Jackson and Texas Southern. And then I saw Norfolk, and I'm looking at dudes with the helmets on, and I'm like, what kind of band helmet is this? And I had never seen that before. So, yeah, that was it. But man, shout out to Norfolk State, man. I wish I could be there. MD Thursday is tomorrow. And then the turn up is after that. So please, everybody, be safe. Do everything responsibly, and whatever you do, don't eat the fruit. All right, man, let's get to this thing. Let's get to this actual thing. Like I said, man, we're gonna have a couple of guests coming in, and one of the guests is one of my big brothers, man. I got so many stories with him, and I ain't gonna tell all the stories because I don't know if you want all that information coming in here. But let's go ahead and welcome my brother Cuss to the show. There we go. You at the job?
I'm at the job, brother. You know how I get down. I'm trying to get ready for homecoming.
Yeah. Then you ain't got to rub it in. I just said I wasn't gonna make it. And
I heard you. That's why I threw that in there.
Yeah, you phony for that. But yeah, man, let's get in on this thing, man. So we all know that's what's going on. Well, let me do it the right way. Let me start all the way over, man. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more, man. Y'all go ahead and smash that like that. Let's go ahead and get these likes up early. As soon as you walk in the building, just go ahead and smash that like button so you ain't got to worry about it later. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the Passionates Network and turn on notifications. This episode will be up on all your podcasting networks. Just type in Talk That Talk, except for Apple Podcasts, where you can type in Real Talk That Talk. All right, let's get it going. Let's do this. Oh, if y'all are not aware of what's been going down in life right now, man, it was a big issue between Eddie Robinson Jr. and Deion Sanders after the Jackson State and Alabama State game, where Deion tried to go ahead and dap him up at the end of the game. He gave him the dap, but he ain't bring it in for the hug, daddy. So he kind of pushed him off. Later on, there was a statement that he made that he said he ain't SWAC. And so then after that, Deion went on to say, who is SWAC? And it's been a nice little dope song that's been made about it.
If ain't SWAC, who is SWAC? If ain't SWAC, who is SWAC? If I ain't SWAC, who is SWAC? Baby, who is SWAC? Who is?
So if you ain't heard this new hotness, man, y'all go check it out because it's joining this week.
Southern about to play it this weekend. Watch.
Hey man, look, I was thinking about writing it just yesterday. I told Quan I'm writing it. But it brought up a question in my mind, man, because when he said that he ain't SWAC, it just triggered something in me. I don't know what it was, but I remember I know this. As a person who came from a SWAC area, went to a MEAC school, and worked for a SWAC band, for me, I don't know, it just touched the core to me because I'm gonna be honest, I had never heard of MEAC hours. I had never heard of SEAC hours. I had never heard of CIAA hours, but I heard of SWAC hours. So I'm gonna go around the room, and as more people come in and all that kind of stuff. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna pin the link to the chat so y'all can come in. We can come in early and we can start having this discussion. I gotta know some things. So I'm gonna go around the room. Let me ask this question first. Do you know the history of your conference? Do you know the history of your conference? Maya, I'm gonna start with you. Don't look at me like that.
This is a setup.
It was.
I see what you're doing here, because why would you leave me by myself, the only person from the SWAC? This is a setup.
No. Whoa. I did not set you up as the only person from the SWAC. Do you know why? Because one, Quan will be here. That's one. Two, I actually invited some other folk, but they just ain't here either yet, or they probably ain't gonna show up. So it's not my fault. I tried to be an equal opportunity to everybody. I invited people from the MEAC, the SWAC, the SEAC. I even put a post on my page and said, hey, that's how Custom hit me up. He was like, hey, I saw the post. What's good? So that ain't my fault. Hey, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. And if somebody from the SWAC want to come through, they can do it. I think that's fair.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair. And so the question is, do I know the history of my conference?
Yep.
By book definition, by book source, no. But kind of like what you were saying, I didn't really understand that there was more than just the SWAC. I think maybe I looked in the way that I got to PV. Because I mean, living in Texas, born and raised in Dallas, being a feed-in school, if you will, directly to PV, like SWAC and PV was truly like the top of what I knew. And it just kind of expanded from there. So no. Now, are you also asking indirectly in the sense of like characteristics and aesthetic? Do I know?
Not yet. Oh. We gonna move to that, but
okay.
Not yet.
Gotcha.
All right. So Chuck, do you know the history of your conference?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been, had an opportunity to be part of two conferences, CIAA and the MEAC, and people that are familiar with both conferences, a lot of the MEAC schools started off in the CIAA. The CIAA is actually the oldest, intercollegiate Black conference, founded in 1912. And so, that's something that a lot of people, when I first started off in college would talk about it. And so I know Norfolk, Howard, a lot of the schools on the East Coast were all part of the CIAA conference. I know Norfolk used to come to Fayetteville all the time, Paul A. Russell, band director, legendary band director at E. Smith High School, was really good friends with Emory Fears, Dr. Emory Fears. And anytime the Legion would come, in town, they'd always practice at E. Smith High School and stuff like that. And so, and then, the MEAC, with CIAA being Division II, the MEAC, I believe it was in the mid 1900s, like the 1950s, when they went to Division I. Being a Division I conference. And so definitely a lot of history, between both conferences. And I agree. I only heard, when folks talk about SWAC hours and stuff like that, from the SWAC, but definitely, the CIAA and the MEAC have a lot of history, especially on the East Coast.
All right. Cuss, I know that both you and I'm just realizing that both you and Chuck are from the MEAC and the CIAA, but you went to one school that was in both. So do you know the history of either the MEAC or the CIAA?
All I know is that they still call the CIAA the colored athletic association, or colored intercollegiate athletic association. And I mean, Chuck already said it all. Started in 1912, Hampton Institute, all that stuff, all in there. Most of the schools that was in there went to Division I, switched to MEAC to try to change things up, get a little bit more of be a little bit more recognized out there, get a little bit more seen. But as far as, the true history, I think we lived it. I'm old, so I lived a lot of the history in the CIAA. Going to those games, those big tournaments back in the day where people actually went to the basketball tournament, when it wasn't about the parties, but it was about the basketball games and stuff like that. So, I have no clue what SWAC hours are. I'm going to tell y'all that right now. Maybe it's because I'm just, I'm out of date with it. I don't even know what we're referencing, but I'm sure that I'll find out amongst the many in here right now. MEAC, I don't really know the history of the MEAC. I know that once Norfolk State got in it, and we started seeing all these other schools and that we used to see before in the CIAA, like you said, they came from the CIAA, went to the MEAC. When they would leave the MEAC, leave the CIAA, we'd be a little bit offended. Why you leave? What's this? What's that about? And then once it got to a point where we were joining, I think we didn't even look at the CIAA the same. We looked at the MEAC and said, let's see what we got in here and let's go forward. So I'm still interested to learn more about the history of both conferences, all conferences. I've also did some work with the SWAC. I never marched in a SWAC school, but I did some work with them. I've announced for one of their bands, as well as put a nice battle of the bands together for two of them. So, that's what I know. Not much.
All right. Word.
Hey, Julian, can I say something right quick?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. My man just made me think of something. Y'all, we don't hear too much about the CIAA, especially with it being like the oldest conference, for us, for HBCUs. But we always hear about the CIAA tournament.
Right.
And when he was talking about like the tournaments and all the teams, let me tell you, the years that I've been to the MEAC tournament, oh my goodness, horrible compared to CIAA. I mean, CIAA, you see every band, every cheerleading squad, representation from every school. And I mean, it's like the NCAA tournament, you know what I'm saying? But the HBCU version. Man, when I went to that first MEAC tournament at the Arthur Ashe Arena in Norfolk, I was like, where is everybody? You know what I'm saying? And we didn't see half the bands. People weren't there. The arena I was just like, man, like, this is crazy. So a lot of people don't, understand the history and tradition of the CIAA. And that tournament, I mean, it brings so much. I mean, everybody goes to that tournament, and so the CIAA is a gem too. I don't know if you remember Custom, they had CIAA used to have a all CIAA band.
Yeah.
And so at the championship game, if you got selected from each band, and then you did a performance together, it was like an all-star band from representation for all the CIAA bands, and so it was a dope thing. So I'm hoping to see that come back, because I don't know if that could be pulled off in another conference. But he used to do in the CIAA, and it was a dope thing to see. I know I used to see it as a high school kid, and like, man, I'm gonna be in that one day. So there's some gems in the CIAA that I don't think we talk about enough.
Real quick, Julian, I'm sorry, apologize. But he's absolutely right. And they did do that with the MEAC for the, what was it, St. Petersburg?
Oh, that's right. I remember that. I got selected and I didn't go. I remember that. They did that one year. That's right.
Yeah. Go to the MEAC. They put that band together for that St. Petersburg parade. And I mean, it's something doable, and it would be dope if they did it again. But
so I'm gonna be honest, I just learned some stuff I didn't even know. So appreciate both of y'all for that. I didn't know that. All right. Tevin, young brother, you in a hotel?
I'm on a cruise.
Okay. A hotel on the water.
Yeah, I'm on a boat right now, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you're doing after you get off here. All right. So do you know the history of the SWAC?
History of the SWAC? Not necessarily. I just know it's Southwestern Athletic Conference, and it's derived of a group of HBCUs that were in the South. But as far as like the actual history of it, I couldn't give you a full breakdown of the history.
All right. Last one, Quan. I know you just got finished chewing, so you good. Yeah, you was on here smacking, brother. Do you know the history of your conference? See, Maya, you ain't by yourself now. You got two extras.
I know the little bit that I do know. Of course, we know the name and title. At one point, I did know that Langston was a part of the SWAC. I believe Wiley College was a part of the SWAC, and they had like other universities and colleges that we tend to forget that was in it and that was dominating at one point. Right now, of course, we know I guess we could call it the Big Ten of the SWAC. Of course, UAPB, Texas Southern Prairie View, Jackson State Alcorn, so forth and so on. But they had other universities and colleges prior to that was actually really doing some great things in it. That's really about it in regards to the SWAC.
Man, look at this education that people are giving out right now. People didn't even know Langston was part of the SWAC. I didn't know that either. See, man, this is why we do these things. All right, man, but we're really gonna get into it now. So here's the question that I gotta ask, and this is stemming from the He Ain't SWAC conversation. We're gonna go around the room. Let me ask this: what makes the SWAC the SWAC? And I'm only speaking from a band perspective. That's only what I'm talking. I ain't talking about football. I ain't talking about basketball. I ain't talking about party. What makes the SWAC the SWAC? Chuck, you got it first, bro.
I don't know. No, I think if you know what I'm saying, for me on the outside in for that conference, or I think for any conference, man, you putting some time and some energy, you know what I'm saying, and resources. I'm sure we're gonna get to that later. But again, putting forth time and energy and resources towards that conference, putting in your time, at least a season, at least a year, at least, something to give back to the school and to make the school or your band program better. I mean, I don't think if you just show up to camp and you quit after camp, you got some SWAC hours or MEAC or CIAA hours. Like, nah, you wasted time and resources, but you put forth, a season and class, especially if you graduate as well too. Like that's part of it in my book, in my opinion.
All right. What makes the SWAC the SWAC?
You asked me that. All right, so I'm old, right? The SWAC back in the day, my first introduction to the SWAC back in the day was Southern, right? Southern was the first school. I'm from New York. We didn't care nothing about marching band in New York. I'm just being honest. It wasn't major. I was a concert band guy. I sat down and played for the mayor, the governor, stuff like that. I didn't march. SWAC, when I first heard about the SWAC, it was Southern University. What made the SWAC when I first heard about them was a bunch of people playing loud. That's what it was for me. That's what I heard. That's what I saw. A bunch of people playing loud. Just loud, just a bunch of movement, you know. But as I grew into the band more and started to, you know, see more and hear more and find out what was going on, you know, you find out different things that people are doing and how their program is ran and what their time and effort is into making it be what it's supposed to be. I will tell you honestly, and we might have to, you know, you might ask me some questions later, but SWAC is the SWAC. I mean, that's them. When you want to, I don't want to start no mess, man. I don't want to start no mess. So,
hey, what you gotta say, man? God,
right.
this is the first
Right.
time I've ever heard you hold back anything. So
Okay.
I'm actually shocked. But go ahead.
Let's go for it. Back, you know, when I was in the band, we could care less about the SWAC. SWAC couldn't play to us. You know, there was no musicality in what they were doing. They didn't know how to phrase correctly. You know, everything was just let me bounce my horn and throw as much sound out of it as I could. You know, nothing sound musical. You had some great arrangements of some stuff that they did, and it really took certain arrangers. It really took certain people to write for the SWAC in order for you to really hear what they were trying to produce musically. You know, they give you something like, what was it? BNGB, I Don't Want to Lose Your Love. Was that her song? Right? Southern killed that joint one year at the Bayou Classic. Killed it. It might have been 95. Somebody in here might not be that old. I don't know. But they killed that joint, right? And that right there made me a Southern fan just for that. Plus the dancing girls in the front. You know, you take that, you know, for how you want to take it. But the thing about it was SWAC was just always loud. I didn't really like them musically. I didn't like them. I just be honest. They were loud and there wasn't no music to it. So that's what I had.
Okay. See, there wasn't nothing wrong with that. Hey.
Nah, I maintained a composure a little bit.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, hey, proud of you, man.
Appreciate you.
Growth.
DH. Growth.
Quan, what makes the SWAC the SWAC?
I guess it's different for me because those who don't know, or people know I'm from New Orleans, right? From Louisiana. My daddy went to Jackson State. I went to Prairie View, and my other portions of my family, they attended Grambling. So my introduction of the SWAC, honestly, from a band perspective, was very tribal. It was a sense of diversity to a degree, but it was very tribal, and it was aggression through your horn from the point of view with the attitude that I'm better than you. Of course, most, and you know, I will bet some money on this. Most people's introduction to the SWAC, 9 out of 10 comes from Southern. I mean, for the most part, right? However, when I look at the SWAC, I see a different swagger from other conferences. I see a different attitude, pizzazz, and honestly, a different culture. As my brother, you know, spoke eloquently his perspective about the SWAC, that's how sometimes we felt about the MEAC. We felt that the MEAC was, you know, more friendly, so to speak. But as I matured, I realized the MEAC plan, right? Because I say it like this: Southern is the SWAC, like FAMU was the MEAC to us. Like, it was two different worlds that you had to learn how to grow and appreciate both of them. However, when you speak about the SWAC, it just was like a in your face, kind of like, we this tribe, you that tribe, and we gonna run you off the block because we the big chief. That was SWAC to me. That was, I know we speak about, loudness and volume, but there was aspects where they was loud, but they was cranking and pushing those musical aspects and musical attributes as well. It was nothing to see Southern march down the street in New Orleans. It was nothing to see Jackson State, playing Get Ready at a particular battle of the bands at Ted Gormley Stadium. It like that. I don't know. SWAC, honestly, now I can't speak about back in the day, but I know for sure now was kind of like a badge of honor if you said that you marched in the SWAC. Because the SWAC, honestly, now again, I'm not, older than some of you, but what I know for sure is to say that you marched in the SWAC band, people knew that your band you were serious about band, specifically in the South. It just was different. And it's kind of like your school was your tribe that you represented, and that particular SWAC school just had a different type of vibe and swagger about themselves. Like, to say I marched in the SWAC in the South, you kind of like it was a notch under your belt, so to speak.
Okay, I got some. I'm just getting it all because I got some thoughts. Bro.
I see it.
Yeah. Tevin, what makes the SWAC the SWAC?
So honestly, everything that Quan just said is a great example. I know for me, the only thing that I would have to say is like the difference for me was growing up. I started playing when I was in the 5th grade, and like moved up or whatever the case may be. I went to high school at Smiley, which turned into North Forest. Gordon was the director there first, and then kind of moved forward. For me, my introduction to the SWAC was Prairie View. The first time I ever saw a college band, Prairie View and TSU, we used to do something in our neighborhood when band, back when high school band was really thriving before the movie Drumline. You had a big thing called a band extravaganza, and TSU and Prairie View used to come down and actually perform. Like all the school, different high schools would perform, and then you had Prairie View and TSU, which would come and they would perform as well. So Prairie View already had stood out to me, and then when I went to high school, marched in that band, and then went to college, and then came to Prairie View, whatever the case may be. But what Quan said, that's literally what it was. What always stood out was when we talked about the MEAC, it's literally what he said. We looked at the MEAC as, which, as you grow, the more you know, you learn more. You'll say, okay, cool. Yeah, it was musicality, but you looked at it more as though like they were more friendly, they were more like laid back, they were more chill. Like when it came to SWAC, yeah, I see your face, I understand. But outside looking in, that's what it was. When you saw FAMU, you'll say, oh, okay, they were a big band that could, dance, blah, blah, whatever the case may be. But that whole, like, the view that everyone had as far as, like, how serious they took it, we felt like the SWAC was exactly what he said. SWAC was like the professional, like, we take this serious. We don't play about band. Like, band is actually a sport. When you came, like I said, and this is only us being around the SWAC and being in the SWAC. We didn't really go into and think about everything that was going on with the MEAC and everything like that. To us, we felt like it wasn't as serious. So, I mean, as far as like what the SWAC is, it was just more so a combination of all the different bands and different styles. Depending on which band you were in, you had a different style, and you kind of got this love and passion for that band and that style, and trash talking, taking serious, and everything like that. SWAC hours was you marching, getting your time in, getting a chance to play against the different bands and everything like that. Once you finished your year, you had the quote unquote SWAC hours. So yeah.
All right. I think it's fair now because we got a couple more SWAC answers in here. So
I
now
can't
you
wait to hear what you. I can't wait to hear what you finna say. I saw your face.
What makes the SWAC, Maya?
I mean, okay, I do not disagree with what anybody has said. I think it really just comes down to aesthetic, like just very simply, plainly speaking, the SWAC is aggressive, it's loud, it's boisterous, it's flamboyant. I don't know, to me, it screams tradition, but that can be very biased because it is the only tradition that I know coming from my background and going up through the ranks of that. But and I've said it before, so, don't hate me, but very plainly put, in layman's terms, I guess you could say like the SWAC versus anybody else is very much drumline. Like it's Morris Brown, like the aesthetic, the characteristic of Morris Brown versus A&T. Now, I might be putting my foot in my mouth because PB gives a little A&T from time to time, if we're just being honest. But aside from that, it's very much the difference of hit them with a little Flight of the Bumblebee versus cranking or something. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, just to add a little tidbit because we've kind of beat this horse dead. So, yeah. I'm sorry, Luke. We just did not. I don't know, the MEAC or anybody else. If you wasn't SWAC, it was just kind of like, eh.
Right, but it was one band in the MEAC that definitely got attention of the SWAC. And you can't say it didn't in the early 2000s and late 90s.
Fair.
Come on, FAMU.
No.
What?
Oh no.
I'm asking you.
No. And again, I'm not trying not to be biased, but we would have a lot of SWAC bands on our schedule. And in the history of our SWAC encounters, we on the up and up in terms of A&T.
Okay.
Look at
we've got the record in our SWAC encounters.
Now that 03 battle in Vegas was epic. We're not gonna discredit that.
Mm-hmm.
However, what other SWAC schools you got, big homie?
We saw Southern in the 90s and put our foot in their tail in the 90s. We seen Jackson in 2001, where the JSU was all crooked on the field.
Shots fired.
Okay.
And we definitely took that one. I'll give Prairie View and A&T and Cali. That was like 06 or 07.
Well,
I'll give that.
Hey, can I be honest? That's the only one I'm concerned about.
Right. I'll give that. I was not in that band, and I was definitely
clarity. That's the only one I was talking about. Could we tore that ass up from the Martine?
Big time.
I'm 1-0 in the MEAC, so
we can talk about at the Celebration Bowl with Alcorn the last few years with the football team and the band showed them up.
But see,
you want to know.
See, the thing is, you would have a lot of people who would say, like, kind of example of what he said earlier, where some people would say the SWAC would be more focused on volume versus like actual musicality.
Sorry.
See,
so wait a minute before you keep going.
I can't.
Hold up, before you keep going. See, everybody has basically done that. So let's do this real quick. I'm gonna go back around. Maya, what is your perception of the alternate conferences? So any conference that's not your, because first of all, there's more than just the MEAC. But what is your perception of anything that's not SWAC?
The truth?
Why would I ask you to lie? That was the whole point of the conversation.
Well, I don't want to be rude.
They don't mean shit.
Honestly,
on this show. Now you don't want to be rude. So today is your calm day.
Yes. I'm trying to listen, become another person. No.
Now you know,
honestly,
if Portia was here, she wouldn't let you do that.
My perception is that my perception used to be that I don't care. Like it does not matter to me because it's just not necessarily like ain't nobody seeing one another, but just like out of sight, out of mind. I guess I could say, right? So we weren't going to have very big dealings with the whomstever. And if we did, it was more so the MEAC, given the SWAC MEAC challenge or whatever the case may be. But my perception was that it really wasn't none. There was not one because it didn't matter. We weren't going to be spending time or what have you. So I didn't really care.
Okay. Chuck, what was your perception of the alternate conferences or conference? Well, conferences, SWAC and SWAC.
I mean, definitely like Tevin and a few other folks have said, just more emphasis on volume and versus like field show presentation. A lot of and again, I remember BET used to show Southern and Hampton like all the time, like every year for like, I guess, I don't know if it was like Heritage Bowl or something like that. And that was the first time I saw like Southern on TV. And I noticed very, very quickly, and we've talked about it on the show and whatever, I'm like each year I'm like, okay, I saw that what they did on the field last year. Oh, they're doing that again, in some way, shape, or form, in some type of variation. So I'm like, okay, on the field, I'm seeing a lot of the same things that I've seen before. And so that was kind of my perception, for the SWAC conference. When it came to everybody else, I didn't really know who else existed in the SIAC or any of the other conferences, just to be honest. And then for CIAA being in and then being on the outside, it was like programs that were like gems, but didn't have the exposure as maybe like the other conferences. And at one point, all of the bands in the CIAA were very similar to the MEAC, meaning that they had some variety. They were all different. No one CIAA band sounded the same. You had Virginia State, which they do their own thing, and Winston at one point and things like that. And so, yeah.
All right, Tevin, what is your thoughts on the opposite conferences?
So for me, it's kind of much like for me, there was never a thing when I was younger where I was like, the MEAC is just this big thing, whatever the case may be. They were there. They were great. Like, they are all great bands. Now I understand all great bands, and I've got a chance to actually see different bands in the MEAC and say, okay, I really like this program. They're doing this, they're doing that, or whatever the case may be. So you may see like an NCAT where they're going to do a great field performance, and they'll have you like locked in. Or you may see like a Bethune-Cookman where they're going to do something great. But if you're going back some years, they were just there. And it kind of like echoes what I was saying earlier, where with the SWAC, there was like a wow factor that came with the SWAC, whether it was you talking about the fifth quarter, where you were talking about field show, where you talking about PV when it comes to the drum line and doing like doing the drum feature, doing the field show. Like, there were different things. So like, even when he says like, oh, well, they'll do the same thing. For me personally, I didn't see that often where you saw Preview doing the same thing over and over. But along with that, there were different segments that went into the show that caught your attention. So, yeah, you may see Entertainment Tonight happen, but then after Entertainment Tonight, you're going to get a drill. Then after you get that drill, the drumline is going to come up and they're going to do something different. They're going to do something that's going to stand out, something that's going to be creative. Then you're going to get you a good dance routine. You may get a drum major entrance. Like, you're going to get the blowdown. Like, you're going to get different things that are going to like catch your attention. That's going to really stand out. So when you're talking about that for the SWAC, that's something that like stood out a lot. And then, like I said, putting it through your horn. The volume that you would get in the sound that you got when you went to a SWAC game and you watched the bands battle in the competition, you actually felt when you sit to the side and you watch the two bands going back and forth. It was a little like it actually stood out more versus anytime I looked up, like, say, a MEAC game or anything like that. It was more not to keep like use the word friendly, not to really use the word friendly, but it was more like laid back. We're just here to like play. This is what we're supposed to be doing. You play at me, I play at you. And that's kind of it. Like, we're just going to play a little bit, but it wasn't as competitive, like from what I saw anyway, which, once again, you only know what you're seeing all the time. But my few times that I got a chance to like really witness anything, it wasn't as competitive and it wasn't as thrilling. And I mean, everything outside of MEAC, everything, like even when I like what you just said earlier, me hearing about CIAA, like I actually learned something because I didn't like that's something I hadn't even heard about until now, which I mean it could be a bad thing, but like hearing it was like, oh, okay, cool. I hadn't heard that before. So it was good actually learning that now. But outside of for me, it was always SWAC, MEAC, and then I mean that was pretty much that was the main things that I knew of.
All right. Cuz, what are your thoughts on the opposite conference?
So now that I've heard everybody pretty much, using all types of words in here, and now that I know that the forum is that wide open, I'm going to dip into a vocabulary that's just used because it emphasizes certain aspects of what I'm going to say. Other conferences, when I was in the CIAA, let's start with when I was in the CIAA. Other conferences ain't mean shit to me. Understand? I didn't look for them. I ain't listen for them. I ain't give a damn. I cared about the conference bands that I was going against that were in my conference. So we just wanted to know that we was going out there and we was putting foot in everybody's ass in the CIAA. Once we jumped into the MEAC, we just wanted to know that we was putting foot in everybody's ass in the MEAC. When we saw people in the SWAC, we was like, oh, we could put a foot in their ass too. Where they at? They ain't playing like us. Yeah, they loud, but who gives a shit? They ain't playing like us. They ain't got no musicality. They ain't got no tone. They ain't got no intonation. They ain't got no pitch. Fuck them. That's how we thought. And we looked for you motherfuckers, not y'all. But we looked for you because we wanted that opportunity to come in there and bust the SWAC's ass. I'm just being real about it. Norfolk State, that's my school. That's what I rock with. Homecoming is this week. If anybody got something to do or don't, come on out. Julian, you ain't gonna make it. Anyway, thing about it is, that's how we looked at it. It wasn't about, oh, what they doing over there? Fuck them. We didn't think about you. We didn't care about you. If you was in the CIAA, that's who we rock with. That was us. We was cool with each other. We would get out there. We would battle each other, go toe to toe. And at the end of the day, we'd speak and be cool and be whatever, be cordial, whatever it was. When I would see the SWAC on TV, it started with your band directors. Those were some of the hoodest people I would see in the South. Because they be up in there, yeah, get his ass, all that. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? That's how they rock. That's how they did it. And that's what we saw. I didn't do that. My band director was Owsley Francis Walker. Rest in peace to that man. Great guy. That was my band director when I went to Norfolk State. He had words that he used. I'm not going to put these words out there with y'all because y'all ain't in the Legion. But the Legion members understand certain words that we use in order to keep everybody out of what we did, but allowed everybody to feel and understand what we were doing. So for the other conferences, it didn't matter if you wasn't in our conference. We just wanted to know that we could bust your ass. And when we saw you, if we see you, we bust your ass. Bottom line. Same way that happened when Norfolk State first went to the Honda. Bust that ass. Whoever was there. It didn't matter who was in the stadium, they got that ass bust. SWAC, MEAC, CIAA, whoever you was in, you got that ass bust the first year Norfolk State went to the Honda. And everybody knows it. That's me.
All right. Quan?
Can we get some bomb drops or something? Something
about that motherfucker. Out there.
I don't got. Hey, there we go. That's all I got. I don't got no bomb drops. I don't got no bomb drops, man.
Tighten up, man. God,
I'm sorry, man. Hey,
right.
I'm trying to get better. Quan, what was your thoughts? And matter of fact, before I get to Quan, Justin, I see you down there. I'm just waiting for you to stop chewing, bro. Quan, what was your thoughts on the opposite conference?
Well, this is my first time meeting brother Cuz, but I feel the sentiment. But that's how we felt in a SWAC, though. We was like, we didn't give a shit. Like we really didn't, because we felt like the SWAC was the creme de la creme of conference of bands. So in regards to the MEAC, because we did feel like the MEAC was the only competition, so to speak, right? Because in the MEAC at the time, you did have FAM, you did have Bethune, we didn't hear too much of Norfolk being sincere because y'all didn't travel like that until that 07 Honda, which I must say, everybody, this ain't no lie, no front. And I'm gonna say this: if you was in the back and you saw that show in Honda in 07, we was like, God damn. Then that just being one thou wow. Because when we saw that show, we say, God damn, we gotta go behind these niggas. Like, and that was a fire show. You dig what I'm saying? So you gotta keep it 100 on that. But we didn't feel like we were afraid of anyone. And you got to realize that the MEAC of what we see now wasn't the MEAC then. I must say that Norfolk has been one of the most consistent ones throughout their time of being the Legion and whatnot. As I researched and did more history, but we just gonna keep it 1,000, Big Chuck. Y'all know y'all ain't the same main T, right?
Oh, nah, I'll be the first to tell you. It's definitely different. And I was in that transition between the old machine and the new machine. And I'm like, oh, here we go. We about to spend more time on this field than running these what we would call non-returnables, for the fifth quarter. So, I get it. That's the vision of the new band director, and there's things I like about it, and there's things I don't. And so, but yeah, no, it's definitely different. Definitely different.
So
my bad. Go ahead, Quan.
No, so I was just saying, just bottom line, like we really didn't feel that way, and we were just gonna be 1,000. I was in the Prairie View that I was blessed to start traveling, so we were seeing more bands in a different perspective. If we're gonna be honest, the most well-traveled bands in the SWAC at that time was either Grambling, Southern, or J State, and 9 out of 10 you possibly saw Southern first, right? Southern was that premier band that was on TV, Super Bowl, so forth and so on. Prairie View wasn't traveling, bro. I think Prairie View had went to Tennessee State one year. That was a big thing for them. They went to Alabama State one year. That was a big thing for them. But we really didn't start traveling until that 07 year when we went to California 2-3 times and then went to Honda and so forth and so on. But we really didn't go anywhere. Another band that we failed to mention is UAPB. Like, they had a really good band over some years. However, I don't think they've gotten that light. But when it came to like bands like CIAA, not being ugly, we really didn't know what conference they was in. We just knew the school. Like, you cannot take away the years that Prof Houghton, that's how you pronounce his name, Houghton was at Virginia State. Like, some great years while he was there. We didn't too much hear about Livingston. When Clark Atlanta had their band was doing well, what conference were they in?
Was it still SIAC or something like that? Isn't that what they're in right now?
Was SIAC?
Yeah,
like,
I think so, yeah.
And so we only heard about them and really saw them because of what? Drumline. We didn't know what conference Morris Brown was in, but we knew them because of what? Drumline. It's just certain. So it's like we wasn't even tripping on conferences. We was like, that school has a good band, no matter what conference. We was like, but if you was in a SWAC, we knew who you were. You know what I'm saying? But if you was just a random band from that particular state, we respected you from that school, but we really didn't know you like that. So it really wasn't a thing about who we saw. We just was like, man, that's a decent band and whatever. And just like that, but we didn't feel nobody.
I feel y'all treat Mississippi Valley like that. Like they in another conference. I just got to say that. Okay.
But can I say this? It's kind of like, why? Because over the last 10 years, look at the turnover rate that they had.
I think for sure. Yeah, for sure. But back in the day, they were like fire. Like, I had no clue, and I did some research, and I was like, God, dog. I was like, why ain't nobody talking about them?
When there was a core school, bro, they would open up and smash. But me being honest, I think that the band director, Prof Harvey, what she's doing that now is great. But I do wish they go back to that preferred, because they were the most different band in the SWAC. That was the band that stood out the most in those early 90s and 80s and so forth. But yeah.
Man, I want to, because he been itching this whole time, and I want to go ahead and let him get his 30 seconds in. to say what he needs to say before we go on to the next joint, man. So go ahead, Justin. Say what you got to say, because he been shaking his head. He was saying everything in the background. So you got it, Justin.
And like 30 seconds. All right, I'm gonna try to get it in, but it's so much. But anyway, I'm gonna just agree with Quan said. It was like, who the hell are them other conferences? I'm saying, if you good, you good. Like, we don't know what conference Morris Brown was in, but we know they were spanking that ass, right? To the point to, like, I'm young. Gemini was like my introductory to like what other band is besides what I know in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? I always, when I grew up, I kind of felt offended. Why y'all put these white ass bands on Drumline? You ain't put something like a Southern or like, something exactly what I grew up off, or like Jackson on there. You give us these Quints and stuff that, we don't use that down south. Jackson do, but you know what I'm saying? It's just a culture. But like, I wholeheartedly agree. Who are those other bands, and what the rest of the band at? You know what I'm saying? Why they playing so soft? You know what I'm saying? They're not messing with nothing over here on this side of the world. Like, my favorite band growing up was FAMU, and Garrett will tell you that. It was always my favorite band. Why one? It reminded me of everything I seen in New Orleans. Loud colors and big as hell. Had to stop liking them. Why? Because they ain't crank. That's when I ain't know no better. You know what I'm saying? So I seen them for the first time, 2010. I went to Honda, and they shut it down with that Jasmine Sullivan. They actually had some knock to them. So long story short, because I really wanted to go in about those other conferences, but nevertheless, it was always who are they? If it ain't FAMU, or if it ain't like Morris Brown and Norfolk, because of the dizzies, because they do what we do down here. You know what I'm saying? Who are they? You know what I'm saying? That's just some years. Like I was preaching last year. We don't even see Norfolk. That when they come to National Battle Bands, it's kind of good because we only hear of the stories and how good they used to be and this, that, and the third, but they still foreign to us. Like, even believe it or not, NCAT is too. You only see them at Honda. And how many people go to Honda for on this side of the world? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to say about it. It was just a matter of, if you good, we know who the band is. It don't really matter about the conference. Just where we at, everybody got some knockers. And Chuck, about Valley, it wasn't that far ago. You better go look at what Valley did 2012 against Jackson State right there. That was far. That wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying? It was swole. So that's what I wanted to say about it. So no worries.
Yeah, I didn't know. Were you saying something, cuz? Okay. Yeah, and so I'm gonna give you another chance to really say what you need to say, but I do want to hit this next topic because it's something that I thought about in this whole process of putting this episode together. So let's do it the right way. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversations about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Man, y'all go ahead and tap that like daddy, man. Go ahead and get these thumbs up. Let's help this YouTube algorithm right now. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the Passioneers Network and turn on notifications. This episode will be up on all your podcasts and networks. Just type in Talk That Talk, except for Apple Podcasts, where you can type in Real Talk That Talk. All right. So one of the comment that brother Robinson Jr. made, he ain't SWAC. And being a person who worked in the SWAC for X amount of years, there was a certain level of ownership that SWAC people have. I couldn't figure it out, being there, like where that comes from, because we never was like big like MEAC people. We were just band. Like that's what mattered to us. But I'm gonna put this out here. Here's the question: is claiming a conference similar to claiming a block and or street you don't own?
God damn, you went there.
Yes, I did, because that's what I thought about, bro. Like,
say it one more time.
It's running down the bottom. Read it. It's claiming a conference similar to claiming a block or street that you don't own.
That's the same shit as claiming a football team you don't play for. As a fan, it's the same thing.
It all depends, in my opinion. It all depends on the audience that you're speaking to, because just being we're gonna keep it a buck. If you tell a person in the South that you marched in the SWAC, they like people in the South know that we take bands serious in the South, right? That's just the equivalent of if I feel like if you say that you marched for the Legion and the area that you march for, you're still claiming or representing an organization. So to that area, if a person feel like the creme de la creme is the Legion, that's the same thing. That's like me saying, well, I'm Box. In Houston, No lie. In Houston, that means something. That's like saying she a black fox. That means something. So if you say, that's just like saying, Justin, you a Jew. That's the equivalent. I'm just saying.
I got one thing I want to say with that. Boy, look, you were the hell out of this question. Cause listen, when I claim my block and my set, everybody with the shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody with it. But I don't think if I'm in the MEAC, Norfolk, like the only thing over there that's really worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, I hate to say it in that sense. So would you claim your set? Like, would you rep the MEAC because y'all like the only thing is really like kicking butt over there? You know what I'm saying? So for example, we say the SWAC. I know I can give you Texas Southern, Jackson, Southern, A&M, PV. Your turn. You feel me? So like, do you want to
Were
claim
you
that?
asking me, or was that
Hey, I'm
rhetorical?
asking you. It's like,
What was the
answer your
question?
own question. Listen, it be like, I guess I'm not agreeing to it because I'm agreeing with the SWAC, but I don't think I would look at it like that if I was from the MEAC because I don't got too many people to back me up like that. So, for example, like if we had to do a better bad SWAC versus MEAC, how that gonna work out?
But I think that, but you asking me. So when you ask me, I marched at a different time of the MEAC.
Right.
Because if you ask me, I'm gonna say Norfolk, A&T, Sam, Bethune.
Right.
Like I got people too,
Right.
bro. Like if even if you go to the later era of South Carolina State.
Right.
Oh yeah. So they were living like
It's
that.
like, it's like, to me, it's like this. It's like, so you basically saying, all right, are we repping a conference like we would rep a city?
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is, again, like we said, different times. If I say, oh yeah, for one, I'm just MEAC, we ain't gonna say I marched in the MEAC. Fuck the MEAC. We marched in Norfolk State. I marched at A&T. I marched at Howard. I marched at whatever. We ain't claiming the fucking MEAC, the conference. Fuck the conference. That shit don't mean nothing. Why? Because we the beast in that conference. Now, if y'all saying that everybody is a beast in your conference, then why y'all have so much animosity towards each other?
I would swing it this way. I would say when repping the conferences, like you strongly saying in my time, and I wanted to say earlier when we first got started to this thing, the SWAC is black band culture. The SWAC saves band. We hate to just say it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have spurts and stuff over the timeline.
But
SWAC consistent.
But did y'all
Y'all
save
not.
it? Did y'all save it in the South? Because again, everybody didn't know who the fuck y'all were. Just like you didn't know who the MEAC was. And then a lot of us didn't know who the CIAA was. So did you only save it amongst your region or the people that knew about you? Because you damn sure didn't save it in the people that was in the MEAC.
I disagree. Grambling is world fame. Like everybody know about Grambling. You know what I'm saying? How many people? If
they were world fame in like 1970. They ain't been anywhere since.
Like they were.
So what conference know more around? We said around the world. I bet y'all know about more. I bet we know about more. Y'all bet.
But see, that's the thing. You're saying
I would have to
conferences
earnestly
more,
disagree with you on
you're
that.
saying which conferences know more, and it's not even about the conference. It's about, like right now, the only reason the SWAC was good, bro. The only reason the SWAC is gonna get a lot more recognition right now is because Deion Sanders is out here talking about I ain't SWAC.
Yeah,
y'all gonna get a whole bunch right now. You're definitely about to get a bunch of recognition right now.
In the band world,
you have no. Check this out. In the band world, you are known in the band world. But right now, you about to get extra recognition because Deion Sanders is the coach of Jackson State. He's vocal more about Jackson State. We're starting to get HBCU recognition with Jackson State like we've wanted it amongst every other school. It's going to start somewhere.
I think we should, because I feel some type of way about that too as well. I think we should break it because when we kind of talking about band. Because he's speaking some real shit about SWAC in general. So the first thing we start talking about band, right? Because I do feel like boy had a point when he said you ain't SWAC. Like I get everything Deion doing. Congratulations. You know what I'm saying he's putting it on the map, and I'm one of the ones that feel like a lot of Jackson fans feel like he acts like he's saving something when we've been having something. For example, though, this man made it to the NFL from the SWAC. He's the SWAC dream. Robinson, the coach who said we ain't SWAC. He has every right to say you ain't SWAC because he was born and bred to that. Dion didn't come through the SWAC. So I think we need to figure out what we talking about because I feel we just saying band. That's all we talk about band. But you're right because think about this. We all hate when people talk about HBCU. Who the first HBCU they think about? Howard, Spelman, Morehouse, Clark. There's a lot of other HBCUs. So if we talk about the conferences, it depends what you're talking about. If we stay on band, yeah. But if you talk about a lot of people ain't know what the SWAC was to Dion. I can definitely agree with that. If that's the case. A lot of people we know what a conference is. They know what the HBCU is.
But how they go? Okay, so watch this. Just a question. How long has and we still talking conference? But how long has Dion been the coach for Jackson State now?
2 years.
All right. What's their record?
Like something in one. Like maybe like what is? He only lost one game since he been there.
He only lost one game since he been there. He could look at anybody else and say, "You ain't SWAC. I'm winning." Like once you get in there, what is it really about? Like
it's almost like
we talk about the conference again. So if you claiming it like it's a city, again, if you're trying to claim the conference, because the question is claiming the conference similar to claiming a block, street you don't own? Claiming, I don't think that the CIAA and the MEAC claim the conference the way the SWAC is claiming the conference. So that's basically a SWAC question in my mind, because MEAC, CIAA, I don't think they claiming the conference. Just like you said over there, you said, CIAA, who you gonna name? Who you gonna name in the MEAC? We're not thinking like that. We naming the bands and it's different times. But to try to claim the MEAC as that number one conference, nah, I ain't doing that, because it goes more than just band. But we just here for band.
But I think overall that comment that he made, like he said, when you listen to the full interview, he wasn't diminishing what Deion Sanders has done for the SWAC. What he was saying, that there's certain codes, just like on any block or any neighborhood, that you just don't cross. And I think he was mentioning that overall. So because they had another coach that followed up and said, "Yeah, bro, when we was beating this school, we wouldn't have kept running plays to the end." So it's kind of like, yeah, we're SWAC because we understand the culture. Matter of fact, it was the former coach for Southern University, the one that's at Norfolk now. So he was saying that it's a different type
didn't run the score up on Dion when he tried to. He had the opportunity. He was at Jackson our last year before he came to Norfolk. He could have ran the score, but he nailed the ball. And he said he didn't want to run the score. I feel you.
Right. So it's a different type of culture. Just like in every city or every block, you have a different type of culture or a code or whatnot. To get back to this, we know this for sure in regards to claiming the conference. All of us that went to HBCUs, we could clown and talk about every single HBCU, but if a person from a PWI walk up and say something sideways, we're gonna get on that person's ass, right?
Absolutely.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing. We're talking or claiming the SWAC because I know Justin went to Southern, Maya went to PV, I went to PV, so we're all a part of the quote unquote SWAC culture. So we're gonna rep the SWAC. Just like I know people from Norfolk, y'all not gonna rep like y'all stated the MEAC, or y'all may not rep the MEAC, but you're gonna represent your school or your conference in the MEAC that you pertain to. So it's a friendly rivalry when it comes to that. But rolling it back over to band, you're gonna claim your section. And I know people may not think of that, but Julian, you're a Dizzy. That means something to the trumpet world of HBCU. And if you say nah,
what you say over there? What you say in the corner?
If you say Dizzy in the HBCU world, that shit means something.
Hey, what Dr. Time say over there? What you say over there?
That means something. Like, and they don't act like it. Like I be telling Julian and Luke, they be when Julian post one of these controversial ass things and Luke will say something and the whole band world will get on them. All it's gonna take is I'm a Dizzy. That's all you're gonna say. And they went, wait, hold on, you what? Now you get a little act right out of doing this band work.
And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because I'm a Dizzy and I got him in there too. So we good. That's what he's supposed to do.
If you start off saying it almost like I'm walking a trumpet group. I'm the best trumpeter in here, right? And everybody like, what school you went to? Exactly. That's that. Oh, okay, all right. You come sit right here, dog. Hey, push down. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is.
And that's exactly how it's gonna be.
It's a respect thing. And how Dion goes, because I love everything he's doing, but I feel where old boy coming from. Like, he played in the SWAC, and he played 10 years in the NFL. You know how it is to make it out the SWAC of HBCU football into the league in general? You know what I'm saying? Dion is the greatest player that ever lived down there. Wherever he go, he gonna bring his influence. So it's almost like a crabbing process. You know what I'm saying? I'm SWAC. You know what I'm saying? You just getting here. I get you one, and I get you bringing all these resources, but you still gotta humble yourself and get out the mud a little more to get the respect. So I don't know. I feel both sides.
And then also, but on the flip side, I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick. Because of Dion influence, that's why Dion is able to get those type of players to transfer.
Right.
And I think to a degree, maybe that's why some of them also mad too. Absolutely. Because you getting D1 people to transfer from like A&M and all of these schools to go to Jackson. I ain't trying to be funny. Jackson?
It's prime. We talking about
exactly.
I'm gonna play for him too. So it's like you're never gonna win against that. Like this is dude, he could have went to any conference and made this impact. You know what I'm saying? That's not like he's just a SWAC. He could have did this. You know what I'm saying? This is Deion Sanders. But in layman's terms, bro, I feel both sides of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna act like Deion. What Deion doing ain't great. But to somebody who's been here and he's a SWAC kid's dream to make it NFL from SWAC, who still ain't doing that with Deion? You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know, bro. I just feel that way about it. So.
Hey, but this is my last question, real quick. But why people didn't feel like that when he had that SWAC recruiting game, like that recruiting tryout for the NFL?
Right.
Nobody was saying he wasn't SWAC, didn't know.
Right. Exactly. They took advantage.
You know what I'm saying? Because Deion Sanders had a
combine.
NFL scouts that had a combine just for SWAC in black school HBCUs. Nobody said he wasn't SWAC then.
Yeah, I agree with what he's doing. I'm just a matter of like a lady said on a podcast. She was like, "What Deion doing is almost like he came to a household that didn't have a daddy. He playing a daddy role. He's stepping up now, and the old daddy coming back saying, "No, this is my family. No, I'm taking care of things now." You know what I'm saying? So I feel both sides of it, but at the same time, I was on the fence about it. I'ma always respect somebody who been in this thing, and I did what almost nobody really couldn't do. I could have went to a big school and did. I did it in the HBCU. That's all that man was saying. I'm SWAC. I felt when he said that, but I think he should have used a different word about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm HBCU. You know?
No. I think he meant SWAC. I'm gonna be honest.
SWAC.
He meant SWAC
because that's exactly what we need. We need more of our athletes that become superstars or whatever. We need them to come back and try to help give our kids a chance. They need to get seen, and he's making it so Jackson State is seen. He's making it so that the HBCUs are seen a little bit more. And people have hate in their blood. You ain't SWAC. Why? Because he just beat you? That's why he's not SWAC?
You do know he did make it to the NFL. He's an alumni give back to his HBCU.
That's understandable. So what's the purpose of saying you ain't SWAC though? Just because he didn't play?
Basically, that's
just because he didn't play. How many years ago was that? Like that's the thing about us. We stay stuck on dumb shit for so long. We blow the point.
I think like 20. I think he played 10. No, it was like whatever 91, and yeah, about 20, whatever. I don't know.
He's been out of college for years. And he came back. He got an HBCU. He's coaching a squad, and they're winning. They busting ass out there.
Side note, Jackson State just got approved to get a new stadium, by the way.
New stadium, and they stadium ain't no shag.
Right.
So they're getting a new stadium. They're getting a new stadium, right?
Just approved it unanimously.
It's gonna be interesting too to see
when you put the right people in your organization, you can get more for your organization. So when we have a situation right now where we have two professional college HBCU football coaches, and now you done did all you did was say something to try to get you some recognition. You ain't SWAC. The hell does that mean?
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing, because like the SWAC people that I know were like, I felt that. Like it really resonated.
I'm not acting like I didn't. I did.
And for me, I'm like, like I don't.
Luke, you probably had a situation like that PV. When you came to PV, they probably say you was SWAC. And then what you told him, you just did.
So let me. But see, I wanted to bring that up because you said something that triggered me. So because I grew up, born and raised in Houston, went to Norfolk, came back, was at PV for 5 years. How is it that, or let me put it this way, Maya, you could probably answer this question because you were there, or Quan. So I even though being there, I still ain't got my hours basically. See, that's you know why that's trash to me. The only reason why it's trash to me because there is no way that you can sit here and say, man, this man came from whatever band and he marched in this section and he's cold, but because I didn't march in this particular conference, I ain't in all the way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate for you.
Regardless of what I did at PV, regardless of what I did at PV, regardless of what I did in the band that I marched with, I ain't good.
So I have a question. Luke, I got a question. So if I get hired at Norfolk, or just say Cold Steel, and I get up there, and I didn't march for the box. I didn't been, work DCI, blase, blah. You telling me ain't nobody gonna say, bro, you ain't $1 million though. You not Cold Steel. So nobody gonna say that.
They're gonna do it for a little while, but goddamn, how long does it take?
Right.
Like we did it. So we did it.
They don't look like that. They don't look like that, bro. They don't like that.
It's not the matter. It's not the amount of hours. Cause shit, it's people that I graduated that still ain't got their goddamn SWAC hours. So it's just a different type of thing, and it's just like one of those. I don't know. Maybe I can't explain it to you, or maybe it's like some type of Morse code or unwritten code that only SWAC people understand. But yes, y'all was on y'all's way. Cause remember when y'all got there, Luke, we said, "What y'all crabbing now?"
But that was fine for me. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I mean, you know.
Did you? Okay, again, this is me playing devil's advocate. This is me splitting my mind of Maya now versus Maya then, or Maya and the likes, or whomever. Right? You was on your way, but it's because you had a different, I don't know. I don't even know if you could really even get
Did you walk in there cocky, Luke? How you walked in there? You walked in there like you wasn't SWAC? How you walking there?
It don't matter how the hell he walked in. We already knew he wasn't. So shit, I don't give a damn.
Sometimes making that worse when he should act like he's too good to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you?
No, it wasn't that.
No, because that ain't how I am. You know what I'm saying? That personality wise, that's not how I am. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if you were in there that day when I went off on the band. I don't know if y'all were in there. But my whole point in saying that is, and I think it also resonates back to the idea of y'all thinking that we was just like soft. Like I never could I still can't understand that to this day.
And you won't.
But to me that just doesn't make any sense.
Some MEAC people be like, we have arrived. Like they do be like that.
Fam.
Turn it down.
Fam. The fam dudes, and this is no disrespect to fam, but fam dudes will walk in there and be like, we have arrived. Like I'm here now. Like that's I'm gonna be real. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like that wasn't my character. Right. But I still don't understand the idea of like we was just some like soft little peon dudes who just like to, play Flight of the Bumblebee. Like I just don't get that. Like,
won't that Maya's analogy right there, the Flight of the Bumblebee shit? That was Maya's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She the one that threw the MEAC under the bus with Flight of the Bumblebee?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, but like we crank up too. I just could never understand. Like we crank up too. Like we get a different way. We fight. We do all the same things
in a different way.
We just run around and get back on claim.
You happy? Like when your first thing you said, custom, when you got out here and I was rolling, I was dying laughing. When it sounded like he about to say something cocky. He said, "I'm from New York." I don't know. What does he do? Then he said, "I sat down and played." Well, I bet you did. You know what I'm saying? This is all the swag stuff. I'm saying that what's exciting to you, like in a musicianship, is boring to us. But at the same time, we know you're a player, we know you're cold. You know what I'm saying? But then look how this switch. Yeah,
right. And then on the flip side of that, we looking like, look at these motherfuckers over here doing all this shit, just trying to get some sound out they fucking home.
Why they drums sound like that?
Yeah, why you gotta do rolling them shit drum down the field? That's Grambling. Why do you have a dude rolling the goddamn drum down the field?
We asking the same question. No, we all asking that.
Why y'all watching? Where y'all call them leg tenders and shit like that? Like this is shit that would be considered weird or different.
Why they got wood on their drums?
Why they gotta spin it? Why they gotta spin
They
it?
made that in the backyard.
On him.
The symbol's too small.
On him on the 50 and he
Right. Hey, I said that too.
Why they symbols look like that? Why they on 12? Why they keep throwing them like that? Yeah. Why they want
I was
to
gonna say,
all of that?
I was gonna say, I know Julian and Custom probably been a part of it, but there's like a unknown event to anybody that's not in the CIAA, because it's the old CIAA conference, and it's called IMA, the Intercollegiate Music Association. And I'm gonna tell you, when you sit down in that ensemble, I was part of the first. I went in 2001. It was at North State University. It was at North State University. Yep, and you got to play.
You better know something. You can't come in there and just throw some loud ass notes out there.
They put them legends up there, and you sit next to such and such with such and such school, and you like, all right, you know, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely feel what y'all say. So I think it's like on two sides. Like we both like see different things that, you know what I'm saying, like, well, why is it like this or why is it like that? So, you know what I'm saying, different strokes for different folks, you know, but I definitely feel that you know, some of the other conferences that don't get seen as much, a little bit more variety, you know what I'm saying? Just in my opinion, you know, or at one time the SWAC conference had a little bit more variety. I don't know when it shifted, but it's sometimes it's difficult to tell one between the other. You know,
Robert Champion.
Oh, yeah. Y'all did talk about that,
yeah.
I would agree with that.
And look how it was looked to me. Like, I hate to say that. All this hazing they doing for what?
Rest in peace, brother.
Like, it's crazy, man. Rest in peace. I feel that's a real statement. Somebody said about the dudes would be soft and come to SWAC and think they're hard all of a sudden.
Hey, and I'm a add to that too. And people may not like it, but I'm gonna say what I say. When the box died, everybody wanted to be like Jackson State.
What's the analogy? Why?
The analogy is the diversity amongst bands. So Robert Champion died, and then after Robert Champion died, you see a lack of diversity amongst bands, specifically in the South. Then when we got put out, you saw a lack of diversity amongst percussion in the South. We know that Southern is going to be traditional, but if you look amongst drum lines and whatnot, diversity ended up lacking, and everybody started emulating War and Thunder.
I don't know, man. I think you just wanted to make the box feel important in this conversation.
Really. Like for anybody that really know me, I don't be going around be like, yeah, I'm boxing.
I know, man. I know.
But if you really look at, like, for everybody want to be like Jay State though. Percussion wise, everybody want to be.
They're the most diverse thing since box died.
Yeah.
I will. Well, you know, I'm a WT fan, so I can't.
But watch this. Okay, let me go even further. How when Mississippi Valley changed to show style, who did they emulate?
How about Lane Wax WTS a couple years ago?
But that's that. I can still rock with that because that's still Memphis Jackson style though, so I can rock with that. So stylistically, but Lane was still chopping, and then J State ended up getting better and better and better, right? But that style was still there, right? But when the box died, people started doing features and doing different things like that, and seeing people, and started emulating just like them. And then everybody from go ahead.
Like Mike said earlier, y'all are like they got the A&T drumline style. Y'all the only one doing that down here. So technically, I cannot agree to it. It's kind of like common sense. If y'all the only ones flipping and doing backflips and, you know what I'm saying, nobody else doing that this way besides y'all. And the next coolest thing to do, I guess, to hump the drum next is Jackson. You know what I'm saying? For style purposes. Everybody else is not really. Look at A&M, great drum section. I feel like they don't get enough recognition like they should. Who else got a cool drum section? I feel like Southern drum section, the beats, they just don't battle nobody like on the track like they should.
And I don't know why. I don't know why.
Because they did. No, I'm not gonna say that. But I get you see when we played them in Vegas, Cold Steel and them, traded cadences, and I don't know. It was just weird, And I got a percussion background. It was just weird, and I just didn't. I was like, okay, it sounded real cluttered. It sounded real cluttered to me. But again, when you grow up listening to maybe certain things, like of course on the East Coast we have tonal drums, so we kind of used to that. You know what I'm saying? We used to.
If I see your band drums, if y'all sit on the side and your band drums go like this, I'm automatically thinking away. Sorry.
Right, but again,
there we go again. Is that a SWAC mentality?
Right, it's because what you used to.
Why he 6'4" playing this big small bass drum?
But it's not. But
like
we marched them at PV.
Right,
y'all don't want like that. You said y'all the MEAC band of the SWAC.
Right. No, Justin, I got a question for you. I got a question, and this is
Chuck, go ahead and ask the question, and then I got one question because I literally just thought about it.
Okay, cool. So can you agree, Justin? And if you don't, it's fine. An in-tune sound carries further than an out-of-tune sound.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
and also the shorter the pop, the bigger the note. So the shorter the cutoff.
Right. It's all physics, right? It's all physics. And so when you got a bass line, we're just talking about bass drums, and they're in tune to a pitch, to a minor harmony, don't you think that's going to carry versus that big old 32 size drum that's not tuned, that somebody's breaking it and putting dents in it and not playing the drum?
Yeah, no, but I get what you're trying to say. It carry, but let's do Jackson, for example. The best, I like the way they bass drum sound. They have all the same thunder, boom. When you hear them coming, you're going to hear them coming. You're not about to tell me about to carry more than in-cast drum section. It's not. It's just not. What? Same thing. Okay, you put Jackson style, put in-cast style, we're going to see who got the bigger carry. Let's see.
Yeah, if you're right close to it, yeah, you're gonna feel it in your chest like the concert bass drum that's on the stage. But if I'm listening to it outside of the stadium and down the street, that in-tune sound's gonna carry.
So you basically saying they're in tune because they don't have different size drums.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Right. I'm telling you.
The band is not in tune. So all these great Southern songs y'all heard, they're not in tune because they don't have different styles.
No. I'm not talking. I'm not saying that. Southern, and I talk to Kedrick almost weekly. And I always applaud him just in the direction and the development and things that he's doing. Southern sounds the best that they've sounded in a long time, in my opinion.
Oh, Lord.
In my opinion. And see, and that's the thing. It's not what folks are maybe used to, but I can actually listen and hear the intonation in the piccolos now. And they carry and they cut.
That's true.
But before, anytime they would be isolated or by themselves, man, they were just out of tune. Like
I'm on there. I'm gonna bring that one to the group. I'm gonna bring that to the group.
You can. And so again, I'm just saying, just on a physics standpoint, we ain't even talking about the musicality. Just on a physics standpoint, like sound waves. Just like if you and I are talking and articulating, like if we were online for SWAC 5 SWAC. And we spit in SWAC history, and we do it at the same way, the same articulation at the same time, that is going to carry every time more than us fighting each other. And so intonation goes a long way, man. And I think this is what we grow up on the East Coast, hearing that in terms of like tonal drums and things like that. And when you hear it and it's done right, especially you go to some of these DCI competitions.
You say done right. I'm a person that, of course, the SWAC in me that say that shit whack, but y'all be having some tight ass stuff going on. I can't knock that. I can't knock it. I'll be watching.
And I rock with Warren Thunder. And I realized, like, I wasn't up on them as I should have been. And so like a few years ago, I started doing some research, and I'm like, because one of my high school kids asked to play a cadence from them. And I was like, let me hear it. And I was like, it was that one that you hear marching to the stadium all the time. I was like, doom, 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 doom. Right. And I was like, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I love that. So I was like, yeah, let's play that.
Every time, scoot,
right.
scoot.
I don't even know what the name of that is, but I know
Series,
that's War of Thunder.
Series.
Right. And I was like, man, that's dope. I want to come into the stadium with that. And we added some tonal runs in it. You know, we kind of, you know what I'm saying, we acted up, you know.
Yeah,
but,
you know,
and so I rock with them as well, too. But again, you know what I'm saying, it's there's a lot of physics behind it, and sometimes I feel that it's like kind of beating a dead horse sometimes, you know, like, man, you could get out of so much if XYZ was kind of, you know what I'm saying, I don't know, done.
Maya, I have to bring it to you because it's something that I thought about in the midst of this conversation. I gotta ask. When it comes, my bad, man. What's going on, Chief? Man, it's good to see you in here, bro.
What up, though, everybody? What's good with y'all, family?
Chief gigging, he on the boat, he gigging on Mars, and he all over the place.
Yo, at least you know, Chuck, I'm working, man. I'm grinding, man. I just got done finished making dinner for the family, man. I'm all over the place. I had to squeeze some time in for the family for a minute, though. I'm gonna just come holler at y'all for a few.
Man, appreciate you for squeezing us in. Maya, I gotta ask you this question because I just thought about it. When we're talking about SWAC in different conferences from a dancer's perspective, is there a difference?
Huh? Say it again one more time.
If we're talking about the SWAC and different conferences, is there a difference as it pertains to dance?
Yes.
In what way?
Of course, the styles are different. The styles are different within each individual conference as well. But I think it's more so, okay, let me be clear. This new era, this last 5 to 7 years is completely different, right? So everything has been taken on an up and up. The competition is much thicker. The technique, the quality of dancer, the quality and style of which is being performed on a weekly basis is on a whole different era than what it used to be, aside from maybe a couple schools here and there, right? Southern being one of them, right? So yes, in terms of just style, whether it's uniform choice, the whole look of the thing, the aesthetic, the look, that's different. Hair, makeup, all that is different, but also just the groove is different, right? So that's a hard one because even still there are subcategories within the SWAC and MEAC as well. But in terms of premier dancers, maybe this is biased, but in terms of technique and what was being brought to the table in terms of creativity has always been different in the SWAC and more premier in the SWAC with, right? So if we talk about Golden Delight, they've always been a step on their own and they've always been in a category of their own.
I got a question.
Yeah,
Maya, because I like where you brought this at, Luke. Even with that still, because I've been doing a lot of dance stuff lately, can you still watch any team in any conference and understand if they bring it or not and appreciate for what it is, right? So if you're watching, let's say if you're watching a team like Bowie State's team, you can watch them and still tell if they're bringing it for what they have, right?
Sure.
Right. So I think I guess my point is that, like, I guess even though it is different, the competition so thick nowadays that, like, I can watch a different team and tell you if they did good versus a whole nother style. And I really don't think it matters because dance is still kind of one in the same. It's just like watching the Dolls and the GGs. Two totally different styles. Dolls are never gonna buck, but you can tell like a winner between the two for executing it better for what they do. If that makes sense, right?
Fair.
In a battle. Yeah, okay. That's what I kind of want to bring it home a little bit.
No, for sure. I would definitely agree with that. But this is an interesting question because of this new era that we're in. So I would definitely say in the past, during my time and back, there would always be, or to me, there was a clear difference between just even the manner of the field shows, the type of music that you would dance to, just the type of moves that would be performed. It's different across the conferences. But just, I don't know, just the teams in and of itself, maybe it's aura, maybe it's personality, just like each SWAC band or each particular band has their own personality. Each particular dance team does too. But now it's a little bit more fluid. You can still see the differences. Like Golden Stars, I can definitely see a clear difference between them and what's going on in the SWAC. I can see a clear difference between what Golden Delight is doing and has been doing versus what's happening in the SWAC. So I hope
Well,
that
crazy.
answers your question.
I just shot ANT this weekend, and I shot a video of the Golden Delight, and it's going crazy on my Instagram right now. And what's crazy to me is you're getting so many comments saying, "I wish they would showcase more. I wish we seen them more." Well, I guess because our fan base is more down here to the left instead of the East Coast. And I'm looking like, dang, I always knew Golden Light would be those girls that they're gonna pick up a flag, have a twirl pole, and they're gonna do all kind of stuff in one show, but I showcase them in that light. It's like you appreciate how great they are in a sense. So I guess it's a matter of presentation and being seen as well, you know. So I don't know.
And it's region, and it's really more so what your not necessarily your fan base, but your knowledge base is, right? So also being in the SWAC, our appreciation, excuse me, for what Golden Delight does is a little bit different, right? So the manner of effect in which they perform and the caliber in which they perform in, that's how we're kind of in the conversations of flag lines in the SWAC. Some people or deem them to not be needed or don't really understand the value in which flag lines or auxiliaries add to bands, because we're used to, in the SWAC, we're used to a very specific type of thing. And when you start getting outside of that, it's a little bit like, nope, we don't want it to go back to what it used to be. So I think that adds an element to it as well.
Okay. Yeah, you did answer the question. I was going to ask you another question, but I'm going to ask the question to everybody, because I really want to see what people's thoughts are on this. But before I do that, Chief, I got a question. What is your perception of the SWAC?
Perception of the SWAC is, for me, origins of the band culture. Whenever I think SWAC, I think origins of the band culture. And I mean, because the first thing I think of when I think of SWAC is I think Louisiana. And Louisiana is the origin of like the black music that everything that we doing. And a lot of other places try to duplicate it in their own ways. It's like you just try to find, you can go and get Hunt's ketchup, but you can also get Heinz. You can also get Great Value. You can also get the Target brand. You get a lot of different versions of it. And it may go down just the same. But the reality is that people finding different ways to try to present information. And some bands do it successfully and some don't. The reality is that all this stuff is regional. It's not MEAC SWAC, because MEAC SWAC doesn't even make sense. Florida is not really MEAC. That's like a whole nother world. I don't even consider that MEAC. Like what they do in Howard is not nothing like that we do in Norfolk. And what we do in Norfolk is not really what they did in South Carolina State. Now, what happened was towards the later 2010s, a lot of bands started copying each other, and a lot of bands, in my opinion, start copying what Norfolk was doing. Real talk, because Norfolk was the one that wasn't seen around in many places. So when you saw them, it's like, oh, this wow factor. Then you start seeing bands copying some of the stuff we were doing. But whole time, there's things that Norfolk did that was copying some other places, if we want to be honest. So the reality of that is that we all borrow from each other. But if we borrow from if any conference is going to take the throne, it's going to be the SWAC, because that's where we are borrowing this culture from. All this culture comes from down there. Like even us as people, we come from down there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, if we being honest, let's call a spade a spade.
Well, I like when I hear a real speaking MEAC person. You know what I'm saying? They just talk that real.
So what's interesting about that is because I ain't grow up on the MEAC.
But that's what I be telling everybody, dog. Like I
ain't grow up. I didn't even know, man. I didn't even know where Norfolk was, bro. I didn't even know where Norfolk was. Like I never heard of no band in Virginia, bro. We studied JSU, Southern, Tennessee State. That's all I knew at Cass.
What is this go-go you speak of?
Bruh,
I'm telling you, when I was like, what are these? What we doing? I don't know what's going on. People got slouch socks and Tim's on. It's like I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it was a very different vibe. I mean, I learned to appreciate, just like you was talking about, bro. I've learned to appreciate the styles and everything. But the reality is that I come from a space where, if you're gonna try to play, quote unquote, crank it up and play loud, then you gotta do it right. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do it right. Don't kind of half do it and be like, oh, we don't want to play like that because we don't want to play with this type of sound and all this stuff. But you're trying to do it, but you just don't know how to do it. Stop lying. Stop being fake, because that's what you're trying to do. You
Say the school, Chief. Say the school.
I'm just being straight. Like, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna do it, do it. If you're not gonna do it, be fam. Be Bethune. If you're not gonna do it, be the band that plays with a certain type of sound and timbre in the Black college style. But if you're gonna kind of do it, then you know what we doing? I don't know, man. Like Tennessee State is the only band that can bring it, but they can also do it in a different way. And I feel like Norfolk and Tennessee preview to 2023 is kind of low key in that same realm where they can do a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Have they ever seen each other?
Do a little bit of both.
Norfolk ever seen Tennessee State?
They
2023 October.
Yeah, they about to see him. It's coming.
That's gonna be dope.
Look, Chuck. I posted this one day on the Facebook joint, man. I was like, man, I wish it was during our time, bro. I wish. I don't know.
Tallahassee.
Hey, look, we played Tennessee my last game in uniform at A&T, and it wasn't good for us. But that's one of my favorite groups. One of my favorite pictures.
So let me do this real quick, man. I just got some super dope news. One of my big brothers, one of the guys who helped to bring me in a Dizzy-ac section is watching today. So I got to give him a shout out, man. Spartan Legion member, military, Charles Kane is watching right now, bro. So
yeah.
Shout out to my brother Charles Kane, man. Welcome home. Glad to know that you home. Hey, I had to do this shout out, man. I ain't seen Charles Kane since
Charles Kane, what up, though, bro?
So definitely big shout out to him, man. Dizzy-ac. So Dizzy's running rampant, Justin. I'm just telling you. But that goes back to what I said. I don't go around boasting it unless I need to. But I'm one of them kind of people.
A logo or something. Shit.
I'm one of them kind of people. For me, I let my work speak for itself. So that's just how I am. But anyway, man, let's go ahead and get to this last topic. I already got the link pinned to the chat, man. So if y'all want to come in, man, y'all come on in. Y'all are more than welcome, but let's do it the right way. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more, man. Y'all go ahead and smash that like daddy as soon as y'all come through the door. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the Passionaires Network and turn on notifications. This episode will be up on all your podcast networks. Just type in Talk That Talk, except for on Apple Podcasts, where you can type in Real Talk That Talk. All right. Last one. This one's going around the room, and then we're going to start bringing people in. This is the question that I wanted to ask mine, but I would rather ask the whole panel. So here we go. I'm going to start to my right. Quan, first. You got this one first. Which conference do you prefer and why?
Shit. What? I mean, duh. But I've grown, so I appreciate, and I'm a SWAC baby. You know what I'm saying? Like I was born and bred in it, in my opinion. But I love and I've learned to appreciate the MEAC for what it is, because it's a sense of diversity. I think now in today's world, and we're just gonna be honest, a lot of people are trying to mimic Southern. So there's no diversity in the SWAC like that. Outside of Prairie View, outside of Prairie View, I don't think there's much diversity outside of SWAC. Oh, I'm sorry, I would say Alabama State. They have
Pine Bluff.
Can I be honest with you? It's like I really don't hear them. Like
A&M. Yeah.
So, but let's just say this: out of 10 schools, we just named 3. That's not a good percentage. That's a failing rate. But if you truly look at, I hate to say that, we forget that FAMU and Bethune is in the SWAC, but we're just gonna keep them in the MEAC for a second. I think they have a more diverse aspect of
FAMU. Will see, and I was trying to hold on to this, dog. FAMU and Bethune, even though they are in the SWAC, they will never be in the SWAC, bro.
All right.
They will always be MEAC.
Has Bethune seen anybody in the SWAC yet?
No.
Like, you gotta get, as Maya said, you gotta get them SWAC hours. What y'all
Yeah,
doing?
you gotta get them bus hours.
Somebody, what we doing?
They ain't
Get out the
coming.
band room with the music.
Dang. So that's so me. I feel like they have a more diverse group because if you truly think about it, those bands on the East Coast, if you close your eyes and you listen to a MEAC conference band, you could be like, oh, that's Norfolk. Okay, that's Fam. Okay, that's NCAT. You close your eyes for Southern. I mean, the SWAC. Somebody you go better tell who Southern is, and then you're gonna backdoor, and then hear somebody that's trying to emulate Southern. So I do like I'm always forever love the SWAC, but you have a lot of people that are emulating Southern, and I think that's the whack part about it. So,
Man, I had to bring him in early because Chief said he about to check out, but I wanted to bring him in right quick. My brother Charles, man. Well, I ain't gonna have no reunion. Let me go around the room and finish this off real quick, and then we'll get to that. But Chuck, which conference would you prefer and why?
Man, can I make my own conference?
I wish.
Can I make my own conference? No. I gotta say, can we bring? Let me post this in the thing, man. Can we bring back the old MEAC? Can we bring back the old MEAC? Like when Howard, had a good size, when Virginia State was doing their thing, even Morgan, like,
When
and
A&T
more
played like a SWAC band.
Man, you said what?
When A&T played like a SWAC band.
Right.
Indeed.
Right. I mean, it was just part of the reason why I stayed at school so long was the schedule. We had some great bands every weekend, and they would sprinkle a Jackson, a Southern, and every so often. I was like, man, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Julian, you were talking about earlier about the lights going out at this past game. You were in, I know my boy Charles was in the band.
2000.
Right. You know exactly what I'm talking about. When the lights dropped off at A&T Stadium, when we first got lights,
played that shaft.
Hey, y'all dropped that shame. I was like, God, dog. It was a moment. I never forget it. You know what I'm saying? It was amazing. And like again, it was just so diverse, man. You can hear the best that's on the radio. You hear them classic, songs. I think Maya, you can tell me if I'm wrong a lot. Not every dance line in the SWAC dance to Shake Your Pants at one time or another. You had those classic, you had those classic songs in there that the band raisers didn't want to let go, and then you had some of the new stuff. I mean, I still can remember hearing A&T my first time and them going from, I think it was whatchamacallit, it just came out. Men in Black. Not Men in Black. I'm sorry. What was the Western movie that Will Smith was in?
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West, right. And they had a song that they sampled in there from an older artist, and then they played that, but then they turned around and played like something from Star Wars. Turned around and played like the theme, I think it was like Odyssey 2000 from Ric Flair, that he would come in the ring. Like all these different genres of music, and I'm just like, man, this is dope, and so again, like I just wish we could bring back the old MEAC conference, man, and that's of course what I would rock with. It was just so diverse, man. It was Thanksgiving dinner, man. Everybody was doing something different.
All right, bet. Justin, which conference would you prefer and why? I already know his answer. He gonna say Mass Band.
I can make a conference out of
the Mass Band conference. Oh, you done hit on something.
But no, the SWAC simply because of diversity and more matchups. Like, I mean, I ain't gonna say like, well, he's better than me, but it's just more. I can expect more. You know what I'm saying? I can see Boombox. I can see Magic City. I can see now I can see the Florida Classic. They SWAC too now. But it's just so much more going on. After I see NCAT versus Norfolk, and after I see who else, pretty much like we're watching a big matchup over there. You know what I'm saying? Like as I see a big matchup. Those two, that's all I got. I have something every given week. So that off that reason alone is more to look forward to than in the MEAC right now.
All right. Even though he's driving home, Cuss, which conference do you prefer and why?
I prefer the MEAC. That's it.
There it is.
Stand on that shit, bro.
Right.
No doubt. I'm not changing it up. It don't make no sense to go crazy. I prefer the MEAC. But I will say there are some bands that I do rock with because I got some people affiliated. So I could pick a band in each conference and tell you why, but I'm not. I rock with the MEAC.
All right, Maya, which conference do you prefer and why?
I mean, the SWAC, absolutely. Like, there's no reason to go back and forth about it. It's born and bred. It's just my preference. It's more exciting. It appeals to me. It's what I tend to gravitate towards over and over. So, yeah.
I'm gonna say this. To answer that question, it just depends on what the time is.
That's fair.
If I go back to the years when I was marching in before, I would honestly say MEAC. Because even growing up in the SWAC culture, I was really only focused on only a few bands. If you really think about it, out of the SWAC back in 02, 2000, I was really only focused on Southern, Jackson, maybe TSU. I honestly, back then, I wasn't a fan of Prairie View like that. Everybody else, I didn't really care about unless they came out of the MEAC, because I knew who FAM was, and then I went to Norfolk State and then I found out who Morris Brown was. So I was really, I felt like it was more diversity in the MEAC back in the day. Now it ain't really nobody in the MEAC. So now I wouldn't necessarily say there's more diversity in the SWAC, but I think there's a lot more entertaining things to look at in the SWAC, but I wouldn't necessarily go the diversity route. So that's my personal opinion. And that's where I'm at, man. Charles, man, what's going on, bro? I just gotta.
How you doing, fam?
Man, you so military now. How you doing, family? Back then, motherfucker. but yeah, man. Charles,
Took some elocution classes.
Yeah, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'm so proud. But let's before we start to shut down, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because you've been away for a while, and I don't know how caught up you've been, but what are your thoughts on the conversation?
I want to say first and foremost, I absolutely love your show, and when I get the time, I definitely check it out. I've seen a lot of folks that I haven't seen in years on your channel, and I do appreciate just it existing. I get it's definitely refreshing to me as an old school bandsman, getting to see this still being out here, and hoping that a lot of the younger folks are checking this out and doing what we did, looking up to those elder of us and trying to create our own legacies. So I love that y'all doing this. To answer y'all question y'all posed about which conference. So I absolutely agree with a lot of what y'all were saying. The MEAC of old was definitely super diverse and in my personal opinion, the most entertaining value, because you didn't know what you were going to get. It's true. Every band had their niche, had that thing that they were really, really good at, and they would capitalize on it, and they would try to make that their most entertaining piece. And I think, it made it so different bands had their own different fanboys or different folks that they love this band because of this reason or that band because of that reason. We loved it. But truthfully, myself included, I definitely was a fan of the SWAC. And I looked up to a lot of those SWAC bands, and those are some of the reasons why I put that uniform on and marched that horn, just like a lot of y'all did as well. So yeah, man, big love on the SWAC. And as my man Chuck did say, that CIAA, even from the 90s on, was hitting, and definitely some of the first people that would sit there and trying to talk to me about being in the band was folks from the CIAA, you know. So much love to them as well. But yeah, the Miak of old was definitely the ones I would definitely want to sit there and watch. When we would sit there and watch those band tapes for hours and hours and hours on end until the dang VHS would break, and then I would go record over my mom's VHS of like Roots or something, and get my butt whooped a week later because I recorded over her VHS to make a new band tape. I was definitely watching a lot of Miak bands, and those are the ones I want to check out again. Yeah,
Absolutely, brother. And let me say this. I got to tell this story real quick before we get out of here.
no
Charles,
snitching, bro.
Charles Kane. There are a few times I've told this story when we were at Hampton, my freshman year, and Charles Kane. Charles, I don't completely know his character now, but I remember it back then. That Charles was a wild card.
I was reckless.
Yes, he was. So much so that Charles was leading the line of Dizzyacks to right before we got on the field. He was leading the line for us to get to the circle so we could warm up. And Hampton was about to go on the field. And I think I was about 3 people behind Charles. Charles says, I'm going to walk through the trumpet section, the trumpet line. And literally, as the Hampton trumpets are coming out, Charles is like, boop, and cuts right through them and gives 0 Fs. And I mean 0, and just keeps walking. He doesn't look back. And then I think Sebring says something to him. He was like, so? I was like, all right. And the rest of the Dizzies followed right behind him and did not care. Charles literally gave 0 Fs, but that's my guy. Lots of stories with him.
I have an excuse for all that.
We thought we was gonna have to knock some people out that day.
Brothers like DJ Custom right there were the men that helped bring me into that program, and they gave me one mentality. They gave me one mentality back then, and it was take no prisoners.
Take no
And
prisoners.
I live by that. I make decisions today on those words those men gave me. I do it a lot more prudently because I'm a family man, you know. And I love not being in jail. So yeah.
We
yes,
definitely tried to raise some hoodlums back in the day, man. We definitely tried our best to get some hoodlums out there, but musically they were beasts though.
I'm not gonna to snitch on the individual that did it, but I remember as a freshman locked up in a sectional, and my section leader will remain nameless, walking around with a 3-foot steel pipe, banging it on the wall, talking about going on a large tirade about musical soldiers. That individual remain nameless, you know, for liability purposes. But yeah, that's the past.
I have a question.
You.
All y'all picked the MEAC passionately. With the bands that's left in the MEAC right now, what do you think it would take to get the MEAC back to what it used to be? With the bands that's currently still in there.
Well, go ahead.
I think myself, honestly, I'm gonna tell you like this. I heard something, and I think it's a good idea. I don't really care about trying to get them back or get them up. I really want a super conference. I want us all to see each other.
Agreed.
I agree.
I want a super conference. I want a super conference that'll help get HBCUs more recognition. I want a super conference that'll make all these bands get to see each other and all the styles be there against each other. And that way everybody will start to blend. It won't be so much of, oh, the SWAC is just cranking. No, the SWAC gonna start doing some stuff musically and be cranking. The MEAC gonna start turning up their volume a little bit more and still do the music that they need to do. The CIAA, that anybody that can get into that super conference, they're gonna change their game up. So I just want to see a super conference. That's me. I think
we'll have our own HBCU Super Bowl.
Yeah, something like
That'd
that.
be the biggest thing. I mean, the CIAA tournament is one of the biggest tournaments in college sports, period.
History.
Period. Still to this day.
It happened to Mardi Gras. I can't make it. I won't go, bro. It's just
tell you, everybody comes for this stuff. it's like the Super Bowl for HBCU. So if you did that with football, we had a power conference, man. If just like we were talking about Dion talking about keeping all this money in and keeping it for us and building our own facilities and taking care of our own. I hate with a passion that A&T left the MEAC for the Big South. And then now we in the Colonial Conference and then we coming back. It's all weird, man. I hate it. I was happy that they came and played Kennesaw State last year in Georgia so I could go see them. But other than that, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. We got to keep our own brand because our culture is it. We know it's driving everything. That's why Disney and all these other groups are picking up bands to do this and stuff like that. I mean, it was cool seeing Mickey Mouse march down the street with a drum major baton and a Bugs Bee, and it's like, man, like look how far we came. But then in some other areas we've backtracked, man. So I'm agreeing with that because we need our own super conference, our own HBCU conference, doing our own things, and it's just gonna make everything that much better. It's gonna be a one-stop shop for our kids to go to HBCUs as well, instead of having to go here, whatever. One-stop shop, recruitment center, and we'll have the best of everything. Our athletics will get better, bands will get better, and just schools will get better instead of, lack of a better term, selling out.
Yeah, but the problem is SWAC ain't gonna want to give up SWAC.
Hey,
and y'all sleep on the SIAC too. I feel like the SIAC the second best conference when it comes to marching band.
I think it was Deion Sanders that I heard mention that first thing about making a super conference, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was him that said it, and I definitely love that idea. Like that idea resonated with me, and I really feel like it's something that we need to push towards and try to get to happen, because for real, like right now, I'm meeting some of you people based off of just this Talk That Talk, which is dope. I already know South, or Julian, I don't know what y'all call him. He got a couple of names with me. He's my little brother all day. Maya, I met you when I came to Prairie View, over there with Doc and them. Everybody, I know Charles, no question. And did I see Mario in here?
Yeah, you did.
I did see Mario. Okay, all right. So that's the thing. That's what I love about it. I love the fact that we get to meet each other, talk, become friends, and keep building and growing, moving on. Right now, we too separated. It's too much separation. It's too much. Oh, the SWAC is this. The MEAC is this. The CIAA is this. Fuck all that. We need each other in order for us to get where we trying to go. Musically, we all beasts. Musically, we out there kicking ass and taking names, without question. Whether we doing it in our own conference or not. Some people in our own conferences, they kind of sauce. We know that. They in the conference because they got money. They ain't in the conference because they can play. Norfolk State sucked when we got to the MEAC. We used to get our football teams getting blown out on a regular basis. But the band kept us in there. They kept them alive. The band is what's keeping a lot of these programs alive. And if we create this super conference, man, if we can get to a super conference, man, sky's the limit, man. HBCUs will start to get that recognition. But we got to just go ahead and do it. Got to do it.
And in normal fashion, as long as I've known him, that's what he does. He gives you a little preaching session and then he tips out.
I'm out. I'll let y'all.
All right, man. We got to get ready to shut this down, man. I know it's getting late. Maya's sleepy. She looking at computer number 4, like, hey, all right, now let's go ahead and shut it down. Charles, after I shut it down, man, hang around for a while, bro. Here we go. So let's do it the right way, the way I always do it, the way I always got to make sure I do it. Maya, any final thoughts, anything you got for the culture?
No.
Really?
What? I don't know what to say. This was fun.
See, that's typically what you always say.
She sounded like Vanessa Huxtable on the Cosby Show when she said that joint.
Right?
I don't know what to say.
I'm just happy to be here.
They jamming on one.
Oh, the jam.
I was gonna say mine might be a little bit too young, but I don't know.
Don't play me now. Wait.
I'm just saying that's
I know exactly what we're talking about. I just embarrassed
you. All right, Chuck, any final thoughts, anything you got for the culture, bro?
Nah, man. It's glad to see everybody here. Glad my boy's home, man. Glad he's here. It's crazy just how you know folks and then they know each other. And then, I mean, we go back to playing, you know what I'm saying, GoldenEye, being late as hell to school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we go back, man. And so it's dope.
Sega.
Right. Man. But now it's just good to see everybody, man. Wish us well. We got competition on Saturday, man. Marching assessment, and so we're looking forward to doing well. And Savannah State's gonna be there, and Talladega is the last edition as well too. They coming down. You know they ain't got a football game on Saturday, so they gonna be there early. So so we're looking forward to seeing them and Savannah State play. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Good luck on your competition, man. I know right now in the state of Texas it's UIL time, so everybody who's going to marching competition, man, good luck to all of you guys.
Yeah.
I know, as a director, the work that it takes to get all that stuff together, man, and the time and the energy. So good luck to you all. Everybody deserves ones. F that. All right. Justin, man, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture?
Nice talking to y'all guys as always. I want to say shout out to all the bands that performed at Disney World this weekend. It was real dope. I mean, a lot of small little things that wasn't other culture that kind of happened, you know what I'm saying? But the first time doing it, it was like an experience. I'm glad those kids got a chance to do, you know what I'm saying? So that was pretty dope. Everybody did a good job. And shout out to all the bands that battled this weekend. Good job for the HBCU. So, shout out to everybody. Nice talking to y'all too.
Absolutely. Cuss, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture, bro? Did he really tip? Oh.
No, I didn't dip. I was just trying to get my mic on. I'm old, man. I'm old and it's dark and we driving. Any final words for the culture? First of all, I love the culture, man. I love this. Luke, I'm proud of you, bro. This is dope. I don't know if Luke ever told y'all the story about Nestle, but you see how he broke down right there? Ask him about Nestle. If anybody wants to know, this is for the culture. Ask him about Nestle. I respect all of this that's going on, though. I love it. I want to see these bands do bigger and better things. I want to see everybody out there. I wish you guys much success with everything that you're doing. This is great. I definitely would love to be part of it again. And if anybody ever wants to be, nestled up in the winter time, talk to Luke, man. He's gonna tell you about Nestle. I guarantee you. Don't look at his face. He can't hold this. I guarantee you. Tell him about Nestle, Luke, for the culture.
I want to know now. Like, you about to cry over there, Luke?
No, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not. First of all, I'm not gonna cry. Second of all, I'm not gonna tell that story.
Are you gonna shed a tear?
I'm not gonna shed a tear.
Gonna cry.
All right, look, I'll give you the story.
No.
Oh, Lord. Nah, this is for the culture.
This is why I don't like inviting my
like
people
this guy. He take no prisoners.
They gonna tell your business.
Deontay came on and talked about how I was chasing him around with my brother. Now here goes. Oh God!
So check this out, man. Me and Luke used to do a radio show together, a morning show, right? It was called Watch Your Mouth Morning Show, and we do all our stuff that we did. We had our sports and everything, our weather and our news stories, top news stories. So one day, I don't know whether we was drinking. Was this a Friday morning? Were we drinking? We drank on the air. Don't worry about it.
No, it was just a regular morning.
It was just a regular morning? All right, keep going.
Yeah, I tried to avoid this conversation.
Yeah. So we on the show, and Luke is reading a story, a news story. And he was reading it, and he came up, and he was like, inside of the story, it was like a word, and he was like, yeah, da-da-da-da-da, Nestle. And the word was Nestle, and I had never heard the word Nestle before. So I looked, and I said, what'd you say? And he was like, Nestle. So I look at the story, and I'm like, where is that? Right there, Nestle. And I read it, and I said, hey, man, and this is live on air. So this wasn't a break, and we stopped. We had this discussion on air, because he hollering on me, man, it say it right there. It say Nestle. I said, man, that word says nestled. They were nestled together. Oh, my fault. Let's go to commercial. And that's how we left out.
You got to find the audio of that, man.
Hey, I've been looking for it for years, man, and can't find it. But Nestle is what got him famous with me on the air that day. Nestle.
I'm over here trying to type it and see what he's talking about.
So,
what's the name of that chicken they sell out in Houston, Luke?
It's about Frenchies.
Frenchies. That's your spot. I guess that's where you was Nestle too, right? Yeah. Nestle and the Frenchies. Love you, bro. I'm out.
All right, bro. Yes, that did happen. I tried to avoid that story. Yes, it was live on air.
Nestle.
Yes, it was recorded.
Nestle.
And we haven't found the recording since.
You got to create a segment called Nestle.
But he wanted to.
Daddy.
So here's the thing. So, oh my gosh, I've been DJing since I was 16. If it wasn't for cuss, I wouldn't ever got on the radio. So this was during a time where this was all brand new to me. But it did happen. So yes, Nestle. I was embarrassed. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't embarrassed.
You wasn't embarrassed because you thought you was right.
I was right. Okay.
Yeah, you wasn't embarrassed.
Led. That's how I read it. That's what it was.
Loud and wrong.
Loud and wrong.
Be wrong. Be loud with it.
And I stand on it. And right after that episode, when we were walking through the school
and got fired. No,
we ain't get fired. But people were laughing like, man, y'all two are so funny. And I'm sitting up there like, you don't realize that was real. So, but yeah, that happened. We got to move on. Charles, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture, brother?
Oh man, I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious. What the thing I was gonna say, I'm gonna source from things y'all already put out already. What DJ Custom said earlier, and the same thing all y'all been saying about us being together is, I think, the most important thing that we all bring from this. Which is probably part of the point why you're even doing this show right now. Period. But yeah, our group together, we are powerful when we are together. You know, when we are one sound. You know, not to quote a terrible movie that came out in the early 2000s, but one band, one sound, right?
Don't do it, though.
I did it. But yeah, togetherness. That's all I got.
All right. I don't know. Quan, are you still there? Or you just got a picture up?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you ain't said nothing. Okay. Any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture, bro? And don't bring up the story you just heard.
Bring up the man, I don't care about that. If you couldn't read. No, I'm playing. My whole point is I do want to say I want to thank all my students, because I know my students watched the show as well. They had a great homecoming show. Shout out to our local rappers, Cooley Wooly and Antho 4000, especially Lil Flip too, because we had them in our homecoming show. We had a really, really good homecoming show. It was the first actual drill that we did in about 12 years in the school. So we're doing some good things. Yeah, I see that face, Justin. Yeah, you're right. We just was blessed to have this concrete area striped so that we can actually have, a field. So we actually have markers and whatnot, and we're expanding that as well, getting the dot system placed down. But great things are happening. The band is performing at conferences and whatnot. So much is given, much is required. I pray strength for the band directors as we come up on this last leg of the marching season. And as we prepare for concert season, I just pray everybody's strength. But a great show. And I'm just excited for what we got going on.
And
Nestle.
No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna after today, we're gonna dead it. This is, I put it behind me. That was the past. That was, yeah. We're gonna let it go. But Quan, yeah, 100%. great job. Congratulations to you, brother, and getting those kiddos out on the field, man. I'm really elated at the fact that you have the availability to do that. And let those kids have that experience, man. It's gonna be beautiful for them in the long run as they traverse from the high school level to the university level to have that experience, and just even getting that experience in general, to hear that crowd cheer for them, and after so much hard work that they've done to put that pageantry on the field, man. So great job, happy for you, brother. And I can't say that enough. This has been a very, very interesting and great episode, man. I appreciate all the guests who have come through. I cannot say enough how I still, for me, will never understand the whole SWAC hours thing, and you ain't SWAC and you ain't marching the SWAC, but it's all good. I will say that through my experience as a director being in the SWAC, I felt a little bit more, I will say, energy, and I guess you want to say animosity, in that atmosphere. I will say that performing in that atmosphere is different. I will agree to that. But what I will also say is that at the end of the day, we're all musicians and we're all students, and we're all trying to do our best to create the best sounds possible, whatever our idea of what music and sound and a great quality sound is. Now, some people have a different perception of what that is, but whatever it is, we're all trying to build young minds and young musicians, man. So at the end of the day, we need to continue to support that. As far as the Deion Sanders thing is concerned, I don't know who considers him SWAC. He may be SWAC, he may not be SWAC, but guess what? He ain't losing. So that's the one thing I'm gonna say. You can't take that. You can't take that from him. He ain't losing.
He paying that SWAC tuition for his 3 kids,
right? So hey, he's SWACing some type of way. But man, other than that,
he gonna lose against Southern at Boombox. Yeah, I'm calling it. Yeah.
You're probably calling it wrong, but but other than that, man, I ain't got nothing else for you. I'm just saying, I ain't got nothing else for you, man.
That was a good game. Last time it came down to 1 touchdown. So I mean, we're gonna play them hard as shit. So I mean, which I don't mind as long as we can take every shit and play them again every Friday. So,
when is Boombox?
Next the 20. The weekend of 30th, at the same weekend in Magic City. That weekend.
Is it in a baseball stadium or something? I saw something.
That's a battle.
That's the battle of the band.
That's the battle. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that later. When I saw that, I was like, okay.
Right.
They're Southern or Jackson this year? Is it Jackson?
Jackson.
My wheels are turning. All right.
The game started at 1 in case you're gonna come, so you need to get there like 7 in the morning.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you now, if I come, it's not gonna be the day of the game, because I'm gonna try to get down there and relax and feel good about being down there. I ain't gonna just try to show up and be half asleep. That just don't make no sense. But we'll see. I'll have a conversation with the wife. Anyway, man, this has been a great episode. Make sure you guys stop by and check out the merchandise that we have, www.realtalkthattalk.com. Also check out the Patreon. This has been a great episode, man. I'm gonna take y'all guys out on some Deion Sanders and Sway. What's his name? Sway, the remix god, whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, Sway the
Wait,
beast.
there we go. Yeah, but he ain't SWAC. Man, y'all have a great one. We will see you guys next week.
Trying to bless somebody, inspire somebody, encourage somebody, help somebody to the next level. I got time today. I got time today. Who is SWAC? If ain't SWAC. Who is SWAC? If ain't SWAC. Who is SWAC? If ain't SWAC. Who is SWAC? If I ain't SWAC. Who is SWAC? Baby, who is